Okay, we're going to jump right into the best practices for supporting children birth to 3. And as Amy Pickler said in 1938, if we're going to implement her approach, we need to be grounded in observing the child. That's how we get to know each individual child's unique personality. My name is Emmy Gay. I'm the Executive Director of Program Support Family Child Care Network and the founder of the Flourishing Preschool, which is a Pickler-inspired preschool that uses positive psychology to produce the best outcomes for children 0 to 3. And we're looking at this week how we observe children to get to know their unique individual personality, because that's the only way that we can really care for them is if we know them. I'm here with Samantha Ducci, who is one of our ed specialists who is practicing observing young children. So Samantha, hello and
Hi.
welcome. And please share with us what you observed today.
Yes. So today, Q was the first one to come into the park today, and it was, like I said on Friday, a typical sort of arrival. I've noticed that every arrival with her is very much the same so far in the week and a day that I've been here observing. It's very much, she comes in with her mom, she's very smiley, very happy, is always waving her little hand, and it's very smooth transition from her coming in and then being integrated into the daycare essentially with her teacher. So I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary for her in terms of her arrival.
So based on what you've been observing every morning, Q's arrival, how would you talk about her temperament?
It's more on the positive, happy, excited side of it. She's not like clinging on to her mom or like crying or anything. She's very like open and she's very excited. You can like see on her face like she's smiling and she's like waving, and then she wants to be let off the stroller, and it's very just excited to be with her teacher. There's no issue with like, oh my god, my mom is leaving type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much you've noticed that the unique personality of Q is energetic, independent, looking forward to her day or what might be coming. I do want to say that Q has been with us since she was 6 months old. Now she's 13 months. So we have put a lot of work in making sure that she feels completely safe, because one of the components of our approach, the Pickler approach and also the positive psychology that we include, is to develop healthy personalities. So the emotional and the mental safety of the children is very important to us.
Yeah, and you can tell because as soon as she sees her teacher, she's very excited and she knows that she's with a safe person who she trusts. And I feel like it's really important, like what you were just saying. So I think that relationship between the teacher and the child is very well established in a good way. So that's very good.
Well, also, I just want to point out that she knows me also because I come here all the time. But for a while, she would look at me. She would look at me because I don't respond in the way that maybe she's used to some adults responding. Like I never ask anything of her. So I don't go up, oh, you're so cute, or oh, look at that smile. I gave her the space to get to know me, and I noticed she would look at me. She would spend a lot of time looking at me. And now she's very happy to see me also. And she feels safe, and she also knows that I don't expect anything from her. So I think I was a different kind of adult for her, and she had to get used to me. So what else have you noticed?
So we also saw that the same little infant who she was playing with Friday morning also came to the park in the morning, and so she was like waving to the baby and to the mom, and they were just like looking at each other. They weren't really playing with each other. It was more like they were separate, but she would go like and wave to the baby every now and then. So it was more like, I know that you're there, but we're kind of, doing our own thing, which was different from Friday. So I was like, okay, that's different from their interaction the first time. So
what does that tell you about Q's personality?
that she's very welcoming. You can just tell she's very happy to see other people, and she always greets them with a smile, and she's always waving at them with her little hand, and it brightens everyone's day. Like, you can see, and everyone is like, oh my gosh, she's such a happy baby, like she's so cute, and she's just like, you know, doing her own thing, and everyone is just, she has a very positive, contagious personality, is what I'm saying.
She also remembers people.
She does.
She remembers people who she sees.
Yeah. Oh, and then she was playing with the water, but it was more like, instead of being in the water with her full body like she was last week, it was more like just touching it, like almost trying to grab it, instead of like, you know, inputting her entire body in like she was last week. So it was a little bit, you know, more of a, how would I say it? Like, more just, I just want to touch the water instead of like fully wetting herself like last week. So it was just her, I just noticed that she was playing with the water differently.
If you didn't use the word playing, what word would you use?
Exploring.
Okay, so you think she was exploring the water this week?
Just like touching it, and she just kept like trying to grab it and like feel it on her hand, and then she would switch to the other hand. And I was like, okay, that's different, because before she would just explore with her body and just like kind of just like waddle her way through the water. But today it was more like just feeling how the sensation of the water in your hand, kind of thing. And I was like, because it feels like you can tell the feeling of water like sprinkling onto your hand. So I feel like she was just exploring that the whole morning and just seeing what it felt like.
So let's keep an eye on that. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting observation, that now she started to explore water with different parts of her body.
Yeah. And then M came, and then Q, she immediately just went crawling to the stroller like she usually does when M arrives. And the mom like unbuckled him off the seat, and she tried putting it back, as in to like be like, no, you're gonna stay here. It was very funny. We were all like, oh, she's trying to like just keep him in the stroller for today. And she was just like, every time he comes and she sees him, she always says, my, like trying to say his name. And like we all know that she's like trying to say his name. She would look at him and start pointing at him, so we're like, okay, she knows his name, or like is trying to say it in her own way. And yeah, she's just very excited to have another little person to play with, I guess.
Okay, so what if you didn't put your own story on that? If you didn't say, oh, she's trying to keep him in, and oh, she's so cute. What if you took all of that out and you looked again at what she was doing after she saw the mom unbuckling M? How would you describe Q? If you took all of the, oh, she's so cute out, oh, she's trying to keep him in, if you took that story out.
I would say she was trying to figure out how the buckle works, because she saw the mom take it out, so she was grabbing like the middle piece that connects all the smaller pieces together, and she took one of the smaller pieces and she was trying to like you know, trying to be like, I don't know how this works, but I'm gonna try and see what I can do with it.
Okay.
Because I have never seen her play with the buckle before, but I don't know if she's seen someone like actually open it. So, yeah, that was the first time I saw her like trying to play with the buckle, or like just trying to figure out what it is. You know. So, yeah.
I want us to try to limit our responses to Q as, oh, she's so cute, oh, that's so funny, because I think that covers over her ambition, or what it is that she's what it is that's motivating her. We know she has this bubbly, infectious personality. She might grow up to be Miss America, we don't know. But we don't want that to kind of color our understanding of her abilities.
Okay. She was very active today. Like, she was crawling and walking around everywhere. Because usually what she would do is she would stay in one spot for a little bit, and then after a while she would move on to a different spot. But today she was just going everywhere, and it was just, she would go from the toys that we would put on the grass like with the blanket, and then she would go to the slide, and then she would go to the stairs and then the sprinklers, and she was just very active today. Like, she had a lot of energy this morning, and that's something we noticed, because she usually has energy, but today it was just like, at a higher level. So she was very just like going all over the place. So it was nice to see how, you know, I mean, I don't know if she was like, you know, excited to see the park or something, and you know, because it's Monday, so I don't know what it was, but she was just on another level of energy today. But
That's really interesting. I would want to follow up with the parents. Like something like that would really pique my curiosity. So I would want to like maybe ask the mom, like, what was the weekend like? I noticed that Q had a lot more energy. She was exploring things in a different way. And I'm just curious because it's interesting. Like what happened that we're noticing all of these different things about her, or were we not noticing them before?
Yeah. I said that one. Oh, and in the sprinklers, I noticed that she was going from one, because the sprinkler is like a ball, so she was going from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and she kind of just kept circling between all of them, which she never really does. It was more like she just goes to one and just stays on that one. But today she was just crawling to all of them, like touching the different water, and then sometimes she would like sit in the center and like just play with the little puddle of water there. So it's just very interesting to see how she's interacting with the water this week compared to last week.
Well, let's just keep an eye on it. That's something interesting to follow, like her level of energy. Does it increase, decrease? And also, again, I'm interested with the parents. I want to know also if something changed, that we're seeing these different things. But, you know, it's also something just to keep an eye on.
Oh, and there was a period of time where they were just like playing by the slides and everything, and then someone went and turned on the sprinklers, and then she immediately turned around because she heard the water, and she started calling M's name and pointing to the sprinklers, and he would just kind of look at her, and she would be like, M, and then she would keep pointing to the sprinklers, and then she went to go play in the sprinklers again, and then M went following her. So I was like, I've never seen that either, like her trying to get another child's attention so they can go play in the water or something. Because it's usually they each go individually when they want to into the water, but this time she was just calling his name and was like pointing at the water and like trying to get his attention so they can go play over there. And I was like, she's never done that at least from last week, so I don't know if she's done it before, but it was just very interesting. And I was like, she's trying to like grab his attention and go, you know.
So let's pay attention. Let's pay attention to that. We're noticing a lot of interesting stuff for further observation.
Oh, and today we did notice that while she was like crawling and trying to walk around, she seemed a little bit off balance than usual. Like she was falling a lot more often, and like she would be a lot more wobbly. So it's just something we try to keep an eye on the entire morning. Because last week she would walk a lot more by herself without falling, but today it was just like a lot more falling than usual. So I don't know if it's her shoes or like maybe she wasn't walking a lot during the weekend. I don't know, but it was definitely something I have to keep an eye on and seeing like maybe we should take off her shoes, and maybe that's like why, because her shoe likes to like, because it's only Velcro, so it comes off a lot during the day. So maybe it's that, or I don't know, but she seemed a little bit more wobbly. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, because of all these other changes you're mentioning, I'm wondering, because for me, I'm like, okay, so does have more energy mean she needs to have more control? Or like, what could be causing that? So again, we don't want to form any conclusions. We're getting to know the unique personality of the child. And over time, by observing them, then we can start to come to some conclusions. But right now, it's all just very interesting information.
And then I was writing about how when we came back, and there was these new toys that she saw, because they were like up by the door, and it was like the plastic animal puppet thing. I don't really know what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was very interested in that, and she was like, you know, just holding them. And then the wooden block that you took out last week, where it has like the little inserts that you can take out the blocks. So she was putting the animals into the bigger holes. And then I noticed that she was like putting a bunch of like toys into like containers, like just trying to see what fit. And I was like, wow, like you can tell that she's using her brain to see what would fit, because she would only put it in the bigger holes, not in the smaller ones. So it's like she kind of was like, okay, I know this could fit, or maybe it could fit, but I didn't see her put it in the small ones. So I was like, that's interesting.
Well, there is a stage of development that children go through, fitting things in and out, fitting their body in and out of things. So this is definitely an important stage to be watching.
Yeah, and I saw her do it with other toys as well, and like putting things inside bowls and stuff, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that either. And she was also very interested in the new books that you got for them. She was just like flipping through the pages, and she would close it and then open it again and then open it and close it, and it was just, you could tell that she was very interested in the new toys that were available, because she was like, oh my god, you know. And that was basically the bulk of what she was playing with this morning. It was just trying to see what the new toys were, because it was like a couple of them, and she was just trying to like see what it is that what's new here, instead of like the older stuff that she knows is already here.
Well, one thing we can surmise from your notes is that Q has a memory. She remembers things. She can recall them and interact with them. So that's very interesting, and this is a great observation, which is a note for all child care providers, is that we do want to keep changing the environment. We do want to keep putting out novel things so we can continue to see where the children's curiosity leads them. So that was a very important observation, a note for us all.
Yeah. Oh, and we just saw that she was hugging the Elmo toy, and like I said, putting the different toys into the different containers. And I've noticed that she only hugs the Elmo toy. Yeah, it's like every now and then she'll pick it up and just hug it and put it back and just start playing with something else. Like she just goes to give Elmo a hug. I think the only toy she really hugs. But I know that there's other dolls.
I think that Elmo might be her special toy. That would be a good thing to find out, like what that Elmo means to her. And because then that'll give us some window into what she's doing when she goes to hug it. Like, is she just going, she needs a little comfort? Is she self-soothing? Like, what does that Elmo mean to her? So that would be a good thing to kind of find out sometimes when you're observing. We need to investigate things like what we were talking about earlier, just finding out from the mom, did anything different happen, anything new this morning, or finding out what's the history of this Elmo doll. So thank you, Samantha. Do we have any more observations for the morning?
That's all for today.
That's all? Well, that's a lot, and it's a lot of important stuff that you brought up, because you noticed a lot of new things. And one of the things when we're observing young children 0 to 3, we do want to make a note of the things that are new. Like, we want to observe them, but we're looking for what has changed, what's different, what's new. That's why we always add things to the environment, because that provokes new responses to the environment. So stay tuned. This week we're focusing on getting to know the unique personality of the child. Every day we'll be posting a video where we talk about Samantha has donated her body to science. She's going to be observing, and I'll be interviewing, and we'll be thinking together. And you can watch these videos and think with us also, and develop your own practice, because if you're a caregiver, if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, if you're anyone who cares for young children, the most important thing is for us to observe them so that we can understand them, so that we can know them. So please continue to follow us and these very important videos on observing children. Thank you, Samantha.
You're welcome. Thank you.